Sacred Streets. We back. You know what it is. Keto. Fadoyi here.
I'm Baba Shola.
Ogumbola.
Awesome. And so today we're going to be talking about what's your taboo? We all got them. And we got questions about them. I know some people who have some pretty crazy taboos. Some are pretty pedestrian, common sense stuff. And then some is just like, what? So let's get into it. So I guess we could start with mine. It was my idea to do this particular episode. I got my hand of E5 on Juneteenth of this year, 2023.
Yes. Shout out Juneteenth.
Yes. So it's extra special for me. But there were a couple that I had to think about for a minute. At first, they seemed pretty straightforward. But as I thought about them, I started to internalize them and look at my daily behaviors and my interactions with people. So one of the ones I was really kind of like, well, what's this about? Is I'm not allowed to skip meals or fast. And I was like, so Spirit want me to stay thick. I don't know what's going on. I ain't mad at that. You know, I ain't skipping no meals. Hey. But then I was like, well, maybe there's something else to it, you know? Maybe it's something else to it. So.
All told that.
Right. Thick thighs, save lives. But anyway, I'm not supposed to fast. And I've always wondered, you know, since this summer, what's that all about? So. Could you give some insight into that, Bubba?
Well, yes and no. Because with a taboo like that, normally it comes from a certain story. Like possibly it was a story about a person and maybe they were joining a group or something that was into fasting. And for them, that wasn't a positive spiritual benefit. Or they could have died or something like that. And so, like in an Odu or a story like that, the taboo will come out and say, this person should not fast, skip meals, because in this old story, this person died for doing that. It would really be specific to how the storyline went. And that's pretty much all taboos, except for like the general ones, because you have like general taboos when you initiate, like you can't urine on a anthill, things like that. You know, just general taboos. Priests don't carry daggers. You know, so like every initiation I've been at, you hear those same taboos. So those are generals, and then there's the 16 laws of E5 piece. You know, those are basic like cultural or religious taboos that we just adhere to. Don't profess to know things that you don't. Don't covet another person's spouse. You know, things like that. It's just general balanced character and behavior things. But the taboos, like you're speaking of, normally come from a story that shows a person that had a tragic situation because of this thing that they did. So those taboos won't go across the board. It'll be specific for you. And then too, when you get a taboo like for a regular reading, that only sticks for a little while. Like for example, some people get readings, they first reading, they say don't wear red. Then 5 years later, they're not wearing red. So some of those things are just temporary for that period. Well, for a hand to be fired, that sticks.
So I had another one, and I'm wondering, would this fall more into like a general taboo or something that we're all supposed to just be aware of? But I thought it was interesting. On the one hand, it said, oh, if I was like, you need to turn your life way up. Like, I must be pretty boring because it's like, you need to go live. But it was also like, and this was kind of hard for me to understand as a marketer, you know, and a media person, but it said, I'm not supposed to brag. I have to always stay humble. And so that made me think, you know, when you're talking about your accolades and you're trying to prove yourself in front of people, I wonder if that comes off as bragging, you know? And then I started thinking too much. I was like, are selfies bragging? Oh my gosh, you know, have I been bragging this whole time? So it would be helpful, I think, to know, like, how far is too far? And then there's some things, is it more common sense? You're just supposed to, you know.
Well, at the base of the Ifa tradition is balanced character. And so people look at that phrase or those words and think that it means like being good, but it really means having balance. So, like with your taboos, for example, they're pretty practical. And most times really simple. And a lot of times we put like a lot into it. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, yeah, I am Odu, and it said that you should stay in the skin you're in, or like, don't change yourself. Mm-hmm. And I took it as be who you are. Like, just, don't change for somebody else, for your job, whatever it may be, be who you are no matter what. But they looked at that as maybe not getting surgery.
Oh.
And so
That's a good one.
it's a good
The culture, how our culture doing, the BBL,
yeah.
the breast implant.
Yeah.
I just want to add on. Go ahead.
That was and so that's a way to apply that, but you would have to go back and ask, because that's not in the Odu. The Odu ain't talking about surgery. It's talking about standing up for who you are, being who you are, and that type of thing. So, I would take it literally like that. Just be who you are. Don't change. And if it's bothering you that much, then go ask Ifa again. You know, about what that taboo is. Mm-hmm. The idea of taboo is definitely an ancient African system, but I think that we have our American taboos that don't split the pole.
Yeah.
Step on the crack.
Don't step on cracks. Like those concepts come from what we're talking about now. Having these spiritual rules that we go by. That's unseen, unwritten, and we just know how it works.
Right.
That split the pole real though. My cousin went to jail, boy. We were walking one day, boy. He got locked up the same day, boy. We split the pole, but it was probably about 20 years ago. It's crazy. I still remember it. Boy, we was on Cascade, right down there by John A. White Park. Split the pole. Shit, cuz was locked up probably about 6 o'clock that evening.
Oh my.
Wow. We blamed it on split the pole, not what we were doing.
Don't do it. We make you go back around.
Look, we blamed it on splitting the pole, not what we were doing. Right. At the train station, right.
Right. Exactly.
I just add it.
Yeah, we have those. It's a bunch of them in our community that live through the Ma'afa, the slave trade, and those things.
Where you had in the house.
Yeah.
Put your purse on the floor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Want to keep money.
Yeah. And so a lot of people steal. Like my mother, if she see you put your purse on the floor, she's like, get your purse off the floor. She don't even know you. She don't have to know you. She just come to say that.
That's real.
Yeah. And so I think that retention has been so strong because we have those spiritual laws and guidelines. Like I have a joke that I always say when we're in Nigeria, when the taboos come out. It's my godfather. He says, "You see that in your hands? Don't heat it. Don't heat it. Don't heat it." So I always repeat after, like, in the ritual, because my dog crazy. I'll be in the car like, "Don't heat it." But it's making light of something very, very like serious.
Yeah, right.
Because like when you get into taboos during initiation, like you cannot do this stuff. Okay. It's taboo. It's at war. We never, ever. And that being a staple in these things we just do not do, because it sets off spiritual occurrences that if you don't know how to stop them, you won't be able to stop them.
Okay.
I have a taboo that came in 2002. I didn't even know what it was about. But the story was about a guy. He was traveling, and he fell asleep at night, and harm came to him at night. And so taboo's like, you should not fall asleep on the side of the road at night. I'm like, I never do that. Like, I'm always at home. at night, if I'm out, I'm not going to sleep nowhere. You know, I'm going to be on my way back home. Some years later, I start selling jewelry. And we traveled overnight. And so there were a couple times where everybody's in the van sleepy. We're 100 miles from the next hotel. We're a day away from where we're going. And the driver's like, I can't drive no more. We need to pull over and go to sleep. I'm like, no, I can't do that. Well, we don't do what you do.
Yep.
We're going to sleep.
Yeah.
So I would have to get up, get in the driver's seat, and drive to somebody else was ready to take the wheel or whatever.
Wow.
And so I know that taboo saved my life. Because we will be on the road every week, all over the country. And, you know, a lot of times we'd be driving and kind of tag teaming the wheel.
Yeah.
And so that became relevant at that moment. Up to then, I'm like, that don't apply to me.
Yeah.
Years later, it did. So, you know, if you get a taboo, definitely it's something that you want to keep and just put it in your back pocket until it's relevant. And when the time comes, you're going to know, this is what Ifa was talking about, or this is what that taboo was about.
Nice. Oh, well, my taboo is...
And you?
So, on top of me being a child of Ogun, we already know the two basics is no lying, no stealing. But for my taboo, when I got my hand to E5, it would be no sleeping in the dark.
Okay.
So, so I don't mind sleeping with a light on or shit, even sleeping with the TV on. You know what I'm saying? Burn my old lady up, but hey, go in there and get on the sofa. Cause then my bed anyway. So now push your ass. I'm playing, baby. I'm playing.
So that's interesting because I just did like, oh Lord.
You in trouble?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Can't save you.
Edit that out, bro.
Cut that.
We're leaving it in. So anyway, no, I had gotten a General Evo and something like that, something similar to that happened, but it said don't sleep in total darkness. You need a little light. So what is the reasoning for? Do you know the reason behind yours?
I haven't and delve deep into it, but you know, hey, whatever E5 tell me, I'm roll with.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, like I said, I work third shift anyway, so when I finally do go to sleep, when I do get sleep, it's during the day and the time. But when I'm off, I'm usually up all night anyway, so.
Just used to that.
Yeah, I'm just a sporadic sleeper. But when I do go to sleep, I be like a rock, so.
Well, are there any other taboos that you heard from family, friends, other Elay members where you just like, for real? I'm sorry. Like, you can't have chicken?
Well, for my wife, it's what? Certain kind of beans. She can't eat catfish.
Okay.
Well, I ain't eat no cat. We ain't eat catfish anyway. No disrespect to nobody that eat it. Yeah, she a certain kind of bean. I knew somebody said they couldn't take a cruise one time. Couldn't get on the boat.
Oh, man.
They couldn't get on water.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that could have been a temporary taboo from a reading. That wasn't like a taboo that sticks. That could have been from that period.
I remember growing up one time when my cousin that would get their readers, one time they couldn't eat red meat for a while. No gambling. Yeah, I heard a few, you know, growing up with my cousin them, because they've been practicing since we was teenagers, and yeah, they, especially the no gambling, because you know, you in the street, shooting dice, so, yep.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if like sometimes the priest be like,
Yeah.
Ifa, let me holler at you about this guy, because this is a problem for him.
Yeah.
You know that. You know who knows. You know who knows what the.
I mean, but you know, the gambling was a problem though. Get killed at the dice game get robbed. You know, you young, you ego driven. You ain't finna take my money. I ain't won.
Yeah.
Basically, like you say, it ended tragically. And I was thinking about with you too, Bob, when you were saying how you can't sleep on the side of the road. See, 18-wheeler drive would have never been good for you then. If you know, if you weren't the philanthropist and the businessman, because you sleep on the side of the road.
Yeah.
That would have been
Yeah.
no for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was one of the reasons I didn't drive trucks. I thought about it for a while. I thought about it like, when you're trying to figure out where you're going in life, we probably drive trucks. So boom. Nah, that can't work because
You definitely sleep on the side of the road.
all the time. All the time. I know this brother, he has a taboo for he cannot touch Iroko wood.
Okay.
And so Iroko wood is a sacred it's a sacred tree. And the carvers make oponifas, the board that we do divination on, they make boards out of it and different sacred items. And so I guess the weird thing is he's destined to be a babalawo,
Okay.
right? But he can't touch Iroko wood.
Oh.
And so that puts him in a position where he's going to have to find some kind of different kind of board. Secondly, he's very cautious about murals that we're making and like all kind of like ritual because there may be Iroko wood in one of the ingredients.
Wow.
So he's walking a very, very, with soft steps,
Okay.
which would be difficult for me because, when I'm working,
You grab it. Yo.
and so, and that's only one of his taboos. He has several, but they're all real, like, strict like that. And what's funny is that he's not really a wild person. He's very disciplined already. It's just Ifa wants him to be very focused and, his lane is going to be very thin and straight with Ifa. Which makes sense because, like, just engaging with Ifa alone, like every Odu that you encounter, there's somewhat of a taboo with it. Not taboo that as we know, like Elwo taboo, but like when you read the story, depending on if the person did or didn't, that tells you to do or don't.
Right.
This person was whatever, let's say going to the market and they were told not to purchase this kind of fruit. And they did so. And so when they did, they got sick and their children got sick, blah, 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 whatever, right? So there's no taboo in that. It's just a warning not to buy fruit. So if I was getting that reading or given that reading, I would say, you should probably refrain from buying fruit or whatever. Because in this Odu, this person was told not to buy the fruit. They went and bought the fruit, blah, blah, blah. This person may say, blah, blah, but I only eat fruit. Okay, so now we need to figure out which fruit then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like just interacting with Ifa alone, there's this sense of there's always a taboo to watch out for because every Odu has a consequence to the choice that the person makes, and the reading or the Odu is going to tell you what your do's and don'ts are for that period or for your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like taboos have different functions then. So maybe it is a warning, but I'm wondering, okay, I'll throw out another one of my taboos. This show is basically about my taboos. Let's go ahead. So I got questions. So one of them was, and so mind you, I'm in media and you have to have a lot of confidence. It's highly competitive. You have to know what you're talking about, so the bragging one I had to pay attention to because it's about the way I speak about what I do. Because you can make people feel low, and in some cases, if you're in a situation where you're trying to hype a project, you have to talk about yourself so people take you seriously. So it's like,
I don't think that has anything to do with you.
Okay.
I think that's them.
Yeah.
I think that's how they receive your power and your experience. And because if you speaking the facts and you're excited about it,
Now you gotta
that's
tell
not
yourself-
bragging.
Right.
That's saying,
Hey.
this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. This is that. This is the project. Blah 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 blah. Now, if you start to feel small because I'm flexing, then that's on you. So I think that there's a spirit behind bragging, which deflates and diminishes.
Okay.
If you're not doing that,
No.
what's the problem?
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's how I would look at that taboo.
Cause that's just like if you, okay, so that's just like somebody that got a PhD in something, right? They gonna have control of the conversation, command of the conversation, and they gonna, spew what they got the PhD in. That's not bragging.
But as a person who spent some time in academia, when you get around certain people, you don't say things a certain way. You might have to code switch, So if I'm talking to my mom, I'm like, yeah, and the idiosyncrasies and she can be like, what the hell are you talking about? And I know she might not have, not that she's dumb, but you don't, there's a way you can flex. But you're right. I guess it's the spirit of it, But if I'm in front of a certain audience, I don't have to throw out the GRE words, the big college words.
So you know where you can fall victim to that. Let's say you're in the room with people, and you remember her from wherever, school, wherever you remember her from, and in your mind you're like, I'm about to flex on this person. That's when you are.
You're trying to show them up.
You're trying to make sure this person knows, sees, recognizes. Then that's when you've crossed over into taboo.
It's an agenda.
What if it's a rivalry though?
That's a taboo. You can't do it. You have to have the character and still be articulate and still be confident and get your point across, but not to show her
Right.
where I came or where I've come to, what I've become.
So not do what Michael Jordan did in his Hall of Fame speech when he called his coach up.
Oh.
That man that cut him and he went off on that man.
Guess what?
Yep. Can't do it.
That's for you, Nick. Michael Jordan ain't nothing. What's up, LeBron?
I didn't even know what's coming.
Hey, boy, me and Nick,
The other
when I tell you that's 80% of our conversation debate. I'm sorry, y'all. It's...
So, but I also feel like it doesn't.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't have to be a warning. Maybe it could be some encouragement too. Because one of my other ones, being in media, and I'm like, oh, is this for me? Maybe I just need to learn coding or something. This is hard. So one of the taboos was, don't you change jobs or businesses. You stay right where you at. And I was like, oh, that's encouraging. So it's like, it's a good taboo. Like, no, you are exactly where you need to be. So I was like, oh, thank you, Ifa. What am I doing with things,
So that taboo would be, don't doubt yourself.
Yes.
Don't doubt the work you've put into wherever you are. The 5 years, the 10 years you put into where you are. Don't doubt.
Yeah.
That's how I would take that.
Full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead.
Full bullshit, just bow. Hammer what you know.
I remember we was in Nigeria some years ago, and we were going through the taboos of an initiate. And so this one I kept hearing over and over. I was like, in America, we do that all the time. And like, why is it that you can't do it here? So I went and asked Baba. Baba's our teacher in Nigeria. Agbongbon Fakari Fani, the Agbongbon of Oshobo land. So I asked him, I said, Baba, so the taboo about urinating in a dilapidated house, what's that about? So that week we went to a festival. The festival was in this little courtyard. And there was a nice house there, a little bit nicer house there. Then over there was this house that was basically falling down. It had fell down. And it was like a couple posts and just, remnants of an old house. And so Baba said, we were talking about this taboo. It's like that house right there is an example. That house is the house of these people compound. So there's many people buried there. That's why they won't dig it up. They won't do anything there. Wow. You see people just go sit over there, Yes, he said this is the reason why I say that you don't go and urinate in a dilapidated house.
Okay.
Because there could be sacred items buried there. There could be people buried there, and you'll be urinating on people. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
So in America, like, you'll find a band with just
Y'all going to pee.
yeah, and so that don't apply to us because we don't normally bury our
Yeah.
but I still abide by that taboo, even here, even though we don't bury anything in our houses because, well, I mean, sometimes people bury sacred items in their walls and things like that, but yeah, that was the reason for that taboo, and it was good to see an example like, wow, that house should be torn down. When you look at it, you're like, why is it sitting there? Why is it still there? And that's why.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, if we don't have any other taboos to share, we want to hear your taboos, and we want to kind of talk through them. We're calling it Taboo Talk.
Taboo talk.
So, if you have a taboo, or you've heard of a crazy taboo, and you're like, what is that about? Please send them to us. You can put your taboo in the comments.
Put your polka dot taboos in there. I've heard so many of those. Yeah, can't wear polka dots. I've heard that.
Really?
Yeah, plaid is another one too. I see that in do like check patterns.
Oh.
Yeah. I like to just hear the variations of why. Because I've seen one before for a reading I did. But I asked another person about theirs. It was a totally different meaning. I was like, interesting. But one was that you can't have spots on your clothing because people will be able to like pinpoint you or like, pick a spot on your body and like, it's like, damn, that's interesting.
Wow.
And so what's deep about that is right when that taboo was revealed, we ended up doing some work with this Benin chief in Africa Town. And he had on polka dots. And I was like, So I asked him, I said, Baba, this polka dots that you're wearing? He's like, it's not the traditional cloth, but we have this polka dot kind of pattern that we use in Benin like that. And I was like, interesting. So some people wear it to represent culture and power, but at the same time, that could be the reverse of the same taboo. You don't wear that because you're representing prestige and power, and then people will pinpoint you and maybe try to attack you or whatever. So, yeah, send those weird taboos in so we can like explore and on the next taboo talk we can like talk about some of those and maybe dig into the odus they come from, and tell some of the stories of where these taboos come from.
I think that would be really cool. Also, anybody else not allowed to sleep in the dark, let me know, because I have that taboo as well. But I have a
I can't sleep with the light
mine.
on. Ooh, that would be horrible for me.
Sleeping in the dark.
But see, my reason is creepy, though.
No creep.
So...
Tell them, say it to the camera.
So... I wonder how vulnerable I want to be. But basically, I get visited. And I need to be, my egg bay, or whoever is visiting me, need to be able to see me to protect me.
Interesting.
And it's a whole thing. I've dealt with it since childhood, but E5 has been the only, it's been the only system to give me an answer. So that's why I was asking you, like, is there a reason? Because I know mine is like, we got to be able to find you. Which I thought was very...
And they've been coming to you since you were a child.
Since I was a baby.
Well, if everybody come to me, then they can hear me snoring. I
had to feed them.
All right, there you go, right though.
Food on the side.
Nice.
And I had to feed them because,
Interesting.
So I'm interested. I want to know, are there others?
Yes.
Yes.
In the comments.
In the comments, please.
Yes.
Don't leave us hanging.
Yes. Put your Odu in the comment if you can. Some people can't say what their Odu is. I understand. But if you can, put your Odu in the comments, and we'll post a couple taboos from that Odu.
We can read them all.
Yeah, maybe on the next one. Yeah,
say their name.
Choose a few, and then we'll do that. So put your Odu in. We'll choose a few people, and then we'll read off a few of your taboos from your Odu Ifa.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Leave your social media so we get know who they are.
We're gonna know everything about you.
Yeah, just if they want to. Your birthday,
your mama name.
Put them
just the taboo.
Put them lottery numbers in there too. Send me the lottery numbers. We gonna split it.
Your lucky number, your born day. Oh no. Taboo is fine in the comments, and we're gonna get into these stories. It's very interesting.
Nice.
All right, Ashe.